we got the nigga isolated. But when you pipe in with whoever those people might be, those are whole structures, whole organizations. And they knew and they know. When I always talk about Cadillac, you know what I mean? And I talked about being in the federal penitentiary. Well, at Lompoc's a California penitentiary, the police have it on the record. If everybody shift over and are coming to visit and sitting in the bleachers with so-and-so, pretty soon the government gonna know, right? And they'll take that nigga and send him out to camp anywhere. Not that they want him in camp, but they'd rather have him out there by himself or 2 or 3 people, right? Than sitting in here organizing. But they slow. They slow. The other things is patience. As-Sabiqun Suleiman. Everybody know that getting married is half the faith. But As-Sabiqun, patience, is half of Imam. As-Sabiqun, this is half of Imam. The ability to take your time, the ability to hold on. Our people didn't have a chance to. Now I just want to tell you the way I see all of this. I looked at all of the brothers and they either made brothers old or scared and stuff like that. Yeah, that's what they did. Now that's not bad. That's not bad. But I didn't sign up for that. I signed up for the struggle and whatever it called for. Okay? So we may not have nothing against the brothers that said, for instance, if the people, you go into exile and the people don't help you. The black people, black power, and then you go and you're living in an African country, you don't know the language, you don't know, and you need help, you need money. You know, all movements, people collect links and money, you know, that's what they do. Negroes didn't do that. That's why there's such an appreciation. When I went overseas, I looked for the Negroes to give them money. And they all remember that. They don't forget, you know. Imam Jamil came back before I got there, but they came back for a certain reason. They didn't have no money. They couldn't make a living. They were not, if they were, one of my friends was a doctor, he killed his wife. But he had his passport and everything in a phony name. The only one he could work for, I looked in a magazine. I went to the doctor, and Doc Calloway was my doctor. He said, did you know Dr. So-and-so? So I said, did you and Doc go to school together? He said, no, but he showed me an Ebony magazine. Maybe if you're looking at all the Ebony magazines from 92, 93, maybe even 88 or 89. But you'll find in there about the friend I used to travel with, Dr. John Branyan. So he was hooked up with Johnson Publications. All of them was that Negro in crowd during the 50s and the 60s. And he was the biggest Negro doctor you can imagine in Chicago. He did that, right into the teaching center there. He went to school in Lausanne, Switzerland, so he spoke perfect French. We used to travel together, and I used to look at Doc. I said, Doc, how do you make your mouth? You know, to do it. So how do you make your mouth do all of that? You know, so how do you speak French? You know, of course, we learned a little bit ourselves later. Point is this. He was Idi Amin's doctor. That's the only job he could get over there. Amin's doctor. Because Idi Amin would know he's a real doctor, and Idi Amin, I don't know what the passion he had for doctors, but he was always had, you know, and you'll see Doc in there in the magazine, he's sharp as a tack, got a white suit on, had a drink in his hand, and he had a few years of really good life, you know, as Idi Amin's doctor. Something happened, he came back here and went to the penitentiary. Anyway, so we have a no slip-ups period. You can't guarantee that you're not going to have certain problems, but not the dumb problems. We're not going to get anybody to make us fight before we're ready to fight. They're not going to deter us from where we're trying to go. They're not going to do that because we have to hope. We look at it like as As-Sabiqun. You're carrying the banner for all the Negroes. Well, for all everybody is Muslim, all that stuff. We call it for humanity. In America, they don't have no people or person like that. All the people you see, Jesse Jackson sharpened the whole list. They tattletales. The white man that picked them and chose them. There's a lawyer, the lawyer you asked me about the other day, what's his name in Oakland?
Oh, I can't remember his name now. I can't remember.
No, I think this is the biggest lawyer. You know where they got those Negro lawyers that every time they get a big case, they call them and they come in. Well, there's one in Oakland. I'll think of his name in a minute. I went to his office and I showed him all these pictures. Not him, I showed his, but they didn't want my case. They didn't want it. They didn't take it, right? They didn't take it. They didn't take it. And they were telling me how you can't do this and you can't do that. And I said, I don't need nobody to tell me what I can't do. So anyway, but everybody was telling me if you're going to get a big Negro lawyer that wins all the cases, then get him. And we're about the same age. So I said, absolutely not. Number one, in America, all those lawyers winning them cases or carrying that title, they arrange for them. See, you hang around long enough, you get the whole game on everybody. So they got the old dark-looking Negro lawyer now can't hardly talk. And in case anybody get him, right? I did get the law, and God knows did get the law, got to protect our citizens, right? That's the way the Negro talk. I'm telling you, you think I'm lying. Y'all seen it before, right? Everybody, he can't speak English good. The nigga can't hardly talk. I mean, it ain't nothing wrong with him, but I mean, he's the chosen and he's a selected Negro. Yeah. What's his name?
You're talking about Crump. You're talking about Crump right now, but I'm trying to find
the other one's name. Yeah, and I got it everywhere. I remember this. Here's the point, though. I'm trying to tell you.
Burrs.
Huh?
John Burrs.
Burrs, yeah, Burrs.
Yeah, that's him.
Everybody was telling me to get him. And
yeah, that's it. John Burrs.
John Burrs, yeah. Okay. But here's the point. Longevity gives you time to see everything for what it is. We didn't know that most of those white attorneys, right, that we were getting in the black days were working hand in hand with the government. They're revolutionary attorneys. They don't have no revolutionary attorney. They're just stuff. It may be one guy, but he never wins a case. Nothing. because the government, this guy is dangerous. Zero in on it. So his briefcase will have holes in it and the shoes will have, he'll be starving to death. If you see a big flamboyant attorney, he's selected by them. They select, okay. So we want you to give us Johnny Boy. You give us him, we'll give you 10 other big cases, you can win all 10 of them. Because we don't care about them niggas. We'll come back and get them next year. That's the way it works. People actually go down and get a lawyer thinking the lawyer is going to fight their case. Even the big Negroes, they drag the Negroes along. Then they get to the day, you better take this deal. You could have got a public defender and got that. That's what they do. 94% of all the cases in court are solved now. Plea bargain. Somebody's not going to court. Okay, let me get back to that. So, our cycle that we're in, our struggle that we're in, is a struggle to liberate the people, to liberate their minds, and to liberate ourselves, and to harmonize and unify with the people of America. Okay? Now, going along all the way, Boss Man had little cutoffs where the nigga can't last but this long. And then you go a little further, and you begin to trap Boss Man in. Like we'd have little lectures about this and little lectures about that. You look at our series of lectures, let's go back 20, 25 years. Even if you go back 30 years from here, all of those lectures are stage by stage. We're challenging the system, and every few lectures have a few heavy points, right, against the system. But you go on and you have a few more nice, challenging lectures, a few more points that in normal times would get you killed. But you're not doing it every day. You're not doing it every lecture. Then you hit a period where you might be hitting boom, 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 boom. But it's too late for Boss Man to do anything about it because you're out in the public arena. Right? You don't break the law, you don't do nothing, da 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 da. So then they have to silence you. They're going to use their system to silence you, of course, right? They're going to use their system, and you're going to play right along with them. One of my partners is a boxer. He told me, he said, this wasn't long ago, less than 10 years ago. He said, you can't keep taking those headshots. I said, that's Matthew Saad Muhammad. I don't know if y'all remember him. He was from Philadelphia. He was a Muslim. And he could fight good. He was a light heavyweight, but he led with his head. And they would batter his head so he could fight good. But after about 5 years, his brain is scrambled. So I told my friend who was a boxer, said, it's not headshots. I said, we didn't change this to psychological guerrilla warfare. Of course, they don't know what I'm talking about. And for him, the system, they believe in the system. They cooperate with the system. You know, and so they think that, and they think about you in older times. Like if we was friends since we was 12 years old, they still think about you in maybe when you were going through those challenges in 1970. I remember this one. We just ran up a hill. We'd run out in the woods, up in the hills. And he said, you think anybody's watching us? This was during the period of paranoia when helicopters flying over your house, shaking your house. you'd say, yeah, of course somebody is watching, you know. Because at that same spot, a couple of weeks before, the green truck, park rangers, you know, come and stop us, and we're running up in the hills, and take all of our names. What is a park ranger doing in the hills? You don't take white folks' names, right? So I just said, of course. So when they think about you, sometimes they think of you as 40 years or 50 years back, not now. 40, 50 years ago, we got to go through a cycle where the first go around, the first round, you don't win with boss man usually. Nobody else does, right? You don't win with that round. If you survive, you've won. If you survive and you go around the world, you have its happy days, right? Not only survive and go around the world, but people are studying and they make movies about, so if you think I'm lying, you just go watch Superfly, the first one. Then watch Superfly TNT and see what you come up with. And then go watch, what's the other one, the one where they was all in the Mac. Watch that. That came out when I was already in prison. But that was, everybody's talking about me in Oakland. So they take all the famous Negroes and put them in one movie in Oakland. So people will talk about them. They don't know what the system did, but the system know what it's doing, right? Because the Big Hank put Africa, Big Hank did, on and on and on. And the system can't stand it. We done made this nigger more popular than when he was here. And they're making recordings, everybody understand the time or the era of Big Hank, you know, all of that kind of stuff. So the government thought they was winning, but they lost. Because nobody's going to forget East Oakland Enterprise when all the niggas is working and driving Cadillacs too. In those days, you know, niggas was walking in them days and catching the bus. In 1960s and 70s, everybody caught the bus and just jumped on it. Just think about D.C. You think everybody was driving up and down the street in D.C. in those days? No, they caught the bus. Now here, everybody with us is driving Cadillacs. Now in those days, a Cadillac now is just any other old car, but not in those days. It was a chariot of the gods. Tell the truth. If anybody remember that time? Hey, man. You think I'm lying? Okay, I'm telling you what it was. And that's the way they felt about it. And everybody with us, East Oakland Enterprises, had big new Cadillacs. And personally, I see one of my old friends walking down the street, they'll tell you, think I'm lying, call over. Man, how you doing? I ain't seen you in 6 months. Man, I ain't doing too good. Man, I'm trying to get... Well, come on here with me. Take him down to the Cadillac place. Pick out one now. Nigga, pick out one. Man, you don't be messing with me. I'm too broke, too poor to have a nigga. Pick you a Cadillac. I'm telling you, call over and find out. And it's not one time. This is a lot of time. Because Cadillacs made you happy. And he was sad. Now I'm young and stupid. Or thinking, if I get him a Cadillac, he'll be happy. He's not doing too good. But that was a lot of fun. And nigga, when you drive out that off the Cadillac lot and he's standing there trying to figure out, is this real or not? But so many people heard about it happening, they'd be waiting for me to come down the street. You know, we about stepped out so I could go buy the Cadillac. I mean, I knew it, you know. I would do the same thing. If somebody in Negro was buying people Cadillacs, man, I'd be parked in front of the house, parked in front of the record shop. I'd be parked on the street. I'd be And funny, you know where people camp out at them stores till they open up? I'd be right in front of them, they wait till the brother come. But that was fun. What people learned was, well, they didn't learn it, I learned it, that wealth is not for just yourself. When you get to a certain point, spread it around. That is dangerous. Because all the other big Negroes, you know, they got money, but you know who they got it for? Their own, excuse me, black ass. They got it for themselves. That's all. That's all. Or a little crew, maybe the kids get a little, maybe the woman get a little bit. But the niggas got money for themselves. They didn't care nothing about the community. Okay? That's why that type of attitude, that's one of the things that keep you alive. See, Allah know who He keeping alive or not. You know what I mean? Yeah, Allah be keeping it. And so He know what's in you and what you're gonna do with everything. Right? He already know. And this is the way we feel about it. We're thankful for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm telling you, super duper thankful for Allah and for the great gifts that He has given us. I'm going to say a little bit more before wrapping up, because what I was going to say originally today, we're going to make sure that we have an audience. Because you know, like, hey, the phone's breaking up. You still there? Assalamu alaikum? Long gone. Okay. I might as well turn this boy off. Okay. Here's what that means. That means if I went out and took a little stroll just for a few minutes, somebody would have breezed through the paperwork or gotten hit from the phone last night which way we're going this morning. That's why all of this, the other day, just plug everything in, and it comes up. Perfect, right? None of that works today. Oh, I can't hear you. Right? And then I'm going to tell you though, this stuff about family, I was talking on the phone last night and I told some people was telling me the family did this, the family did that. I said, my family has held up